All right, as new individuals to Fusion, I wanted to kind of show you and run through some of the documentation here that Autodesk provides for you. Go over a couple of things in terms of the Fusion interface and what we need to be aware of so we can kind of talk and communicate as you learn how to draw in this software. So this is coming right off of Autodesk's website in their product documentation on Fusion. Now, a lot of Autodesk products are pretty similar with the way the layout is, so you can kind of get familiar with it. But of course, Fusion is a cloud-based system, so it kind of goes over um, the process more or less of how to kind of go through. And you can kind of check this out on their website. Um, Most of you already should have your Autodesk account signed up. I will talk more about getting you guys kind of together in terms of the way we can kind of share information and collaborate with each other here at a later date. So, but if you haven't, this kind of walks you through the process of how you can make sure that you get Fusion and put it into it and get started. So this gives you all of the information on installing Fusion into onto your device so that you can kind of get there and use it. Um, if you did not get my original invitation here, so this kind of goes through that, but we'll kind of talk about right now. I just want to make sure you guys are all getting Fusion loaded up so that you can kind of work on this, and at some point you will be kind of put on a team here for this. Main purpose of this video, though, is to talk about this Fusion, what they call the Fusion interface, so that we can all kind of talk when we're going through these videos or when I'm demonstrating modeling techniques up on the board. You can be aware of this with what we got going on. So this block here, as we look at this is what we call the data panel. That's where you're going to access most of the projects, your designs. You're going to kind of manage all of your data, and of course your collaboration with other people will be kind of through here. Now, most of the time when I'm working, I keep that kind of closed, but we can open it back up. Uh, Up here, number 2 is what we call the application bar. So, and as you go through, as we take a look at each of these, we've got multiple tools up here on the collaboration bar as well. So you got the data panel where we can open and close it. You can do your file menu here to save. This will be your save button. We can have an undo and a redo button here as well, and lots of other things that are going to kind of pop up along this application bar as you need it. Number 3 right here is what we call the toolbar. So this is where all of our tools for modeling are going to be that we're going to use, whether we're doing solid modeling, surfacing mesh, if we're working on sheet metal, so whatever. That's all going to be right here in our toolbar to select the tool. And of course, as we do different types of things, this will also open up different bars and different tools up here as well. Number 4 is what we call a browser. So, and you may or may not have this open. You probably should to begin with, because this is going to give us some access to kind of follow through and know what we're doing. We'll talk about how things show up in this browser as we kind of get through and do each of these drawings as we go through. Number 5, this is of course all of your drawing area or your assembly area here as you kind of put everything through. So that's more or less what your window is, where you're going to do all your drawing, and your actual objects are going to show up in this. They call that the assembly area in Canvas. Number 6 is the view cube. So, and that's pretty common on all of these three-dimensional software, where we can switch back and forth from one view to another. We can have it placed and pan and zoom, and that gives us the ability to kind of manipulate that object around on all sides so that we can view that and get a good idea of what it should be looking like. Number 7 is the marking menu. So as you get up, you can kind of see some of the tools here that we can kind of use. And again, I mentioned pan, zoom. We'll talk of orbit. We'll talk about what the different ones of those are. I don't really work too much on this as far as the name, but you'll see me demonstrate panning and zooming and orbiting as we go through, but this is also used to kind of pull up and do individual stuff like that. As I model with my modeling techniques, I'm honestly not using this much. I'm kind of doing all of that here in this area, but this is a way that you can get back in and do that as well. Number 8 down here is what we call the navigation bar. So it contains more commands, again, to zoom, pan, orbit your design. It gives you display settings so that you can kind of control the appearance and the interface, and you can use that to make changes. So with that. And lastly here, number 9 is also what we call the timeline. So you can kind of actually watch the progression of your build in Fusion as you go through, and you can kind of go back and use this as well. So that is the basic interface that you need to be aware of here as we go through and start to use Fusion. As you go down, notice you can use Autodesk's information here. It's got more information there with what all of this is, so you can kind of read over all of that and click that and bring that back. But right now, if you just get familiar with where these things are at and how you bring them up to look at, you'll be ahead of the game.